enjoyed the
work
session.
yesterday. Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm talking to you guys, and at the same time, I'm doing some logistics for the live. Here we go. I send this to my colleague. Yeah.
Okay, YouTube seems to be working.
Yep.
Did you check it?
Yeah, the team will be using actually another tool in order to make it go live on the Facebook page. Yes.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting ready for the platform too. I think I'm becoming a technical expert after those sessions.
Yes, yes, indeed. So can you also give admin rights for sharing the screen on Zoom? I was checking that.
Yes, I'm gonna make you the host as usual.
All right.
You're our host now. Please don't kick us out of the session.
No. So I'm just basically checking that everything is working. So you can see the presentation now?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, we do.
And full screen mode also works?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Good.
Right. Okay, I'm ready on my side. I just will wait a couple of minutes before doing the live, okay?
Yes.
Yeah, hopefully today we'll be learning from our mistakes.
It went well yesterday.
It went well, yeah. So being the first session for first time virtually and all the technical stuff, so no worries.
Yep.
Awesome. We are all learning, yes.
Exactly. The platform we're using is actually one of the startups here in Tunisia. It's called, they're the ones hosting the session. So even though, they're experiencing and getting feedback, but we still wanted to support that initiative because we really think it's interesting as a platform. So yep. What else? Yep. So I guess I will be also today, making a quick intro about the program too, in case new people will be joining. It's gonna be a quick announcement as usual. Yep, so thank you for sharing the presentation, Oscar. We had a couple of people actually asking if they can, they were asking for specific slides. Can we have a screenshot of slide number? I don't know what. So are you okay with that? Us sharing with people that ask for it?
Yeah, sure, feel free. I mean, so all the content that we are delivering in this session, so it's also part of our ecosystem academy. So, and it is fully free for everyone.
Perfect.
So I'm not sure if also Matthias also shared yesterday on the chat a link where all the attendees could register and get those materials and expand the sessions there. So, but I think that it's okay from our side.
Yeah,
awesome. I guess yesterday the chat has an issue, yeah. So I guess today
I can share it today again, so no problem.
Amazing. Okay. I'm gonna call my colleague to make sure she will be aware of us going live.
So Matthias?
Yeah.
By the end, you can also drop on the chat some additional details about the collaborative approach. So link to the open version that we have for comments.
Okay, yeah, I will do.
So in the beginning, more about the resources that are available for everyone, and then by the end, but I will let you know.
Yes, yes.
All right, 1 minute to go.
All right, where is the makeup?
What's what? Excuse me?
Where is the makeup?
Oh, the makeup.
Yeah. Lights,
yeah, it's on
good,
the background. Okay. So I'm gonna click on the button now. So hello, everybody. We're super excited to have Oscar and Matthias from Startup Commons with us today. So thank you, all of you, for joining again today for our first session at Ins and Out of Ecosystem Building. And it's going to be this second session in the Global Week of Entrepreneurship, celebrating it our way too, by inviting, international gurus, really experts, and having a lot of experience this last decade in ecosystem development. So I'm going to make a quick reminder for new people joining that were not part of the session yesterday. So this program is actually a fruit of a collaboration between Smart Capital and myself. I'm part of the team of Smart Capital, and Projet Innovi, European Union for Innovation. So together we were thinking of how can we celebrate the Global Week of Entrepreneurship while exposing the startup ecosystem in Tunisia worldwide, right? So one of the ideas we were really excited about is to jump on calls with international, experts that wanna, collaborate, wanna talk to you guys and connect and take it from there. So we really hope that this interaction with different, organizations, today we are having again Startup Commons in a new session to go to startup ecosystem, the essentials behind that. So we hope that you guys, can stay in touch, maybe have potential collaborations in the future, mentorship opportunities, or just, getting inspired in an idea that will be shared today to solve challenges in our dear ecosystem. So that being said, I'm gonna also quickly introduce our guest today. So Oscar Ramirez, he's the founder and CEO of Startup Commons. He will be, our speaker today. He will be sharing with you more of his experience and knowledge when it comes to ecosystem development. So Startup Commons is actually an enabler of ecosystem development worldwide. So they work for in empowering, governments, locals in different places, West Asia, European Union, etc. So we're really excited to have you, Oscar and Matthias. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah,
nice
how is Spain?
Oh, it's sunny here, so good, very warm actually, and I'm really looking forward to starting this session.
Amazing. It's getting colder here in Tunisia, or it's only me, I'm not sure. I'm feeling cold today, so I'm happy it's sunny somewhere. Amazing. So actually I have also volunteered to have, some mentoring sessions with a couple of startup support organizations. So if you're really interested in, get in touch, make sure to send hashtag mentorship on the chat. So the chat, you can access it through the platform, the eVay platform where we are hosting the session, or you can also comment on our Facebook page of Smart Capital with hashtag mentorship. So with no longer waiting, I'm personally also excited to know what you're gonna share with us today, guys. So I will leave you the floor. I'll be here on the background to help with anything needed for logistics. So the floor is yours, Oscar.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. And thank you everyone for attending to this session. So let me first share the screen with all of you. All right, so today we have a session around the essentials of ecosystems analysis. So yesterday we had like a really, I would say, tough session where we basically we share a lot of content and concepts around the fundamental parts of ecosystem development, the main challenges, the main issues that ecosystem builders are facing on daily basis, and also the principles and the framework behind developing an ecosystem. And basically today, what we are looking is to basically to put all that information or that knowledge into practice with something really key like ecosystem mapping or measurements to basically to measure ecosystem performance and tools and also sharing with all of you some business cases based on real work with a couple of ecosystems coming from different parts of the world. So let's see if it is quite interesting, this session today for all of you, and you get to learn a lot today. And as usual, I think that you have today different channels to drop your Q&A, to drop your questions, and then on the Q&A part, we will take them and we will try to reply and bring more clarifications around your questions and doubts that you may have during this session. And as we said yesterday, one of the main problems that ecosystems are facing, or the ecosystem are facing due to ecosystem fragmentation, is basically to maintain a holistic picture of the constantly developing and evolving ecosystem, and to measure the services and results of different development projects and policy actions, and to collect, maintain, and share this data openly for the benefit of everyone in the ecosystem. And we can say that ecosystem mapping is key in trying to fix that problem. And basically ecosystem mapping is the process to maintain and cater comprehensive and dynamic information about the available services and organizations, as well as to be able to identify gaps in available services for ongoing ecosystem development, and really helping ecosystem operators and ecosystem builders to gain an in-depth understanding of the ecosystem they are operating, not only by basically providing a general sense of the number and maturity level of startups available in one specific location, but most importantly, providing accurate and objective information about the different ecosystem actors, and also the infrastructure that supports startups from ideation to growth, as well as the level of connectedness amongst the different ecosystem actors in terms of sharing information, knowledge, and data to jointly operate in a more effective way. And really, the ecosystem mapping exercise basically seeks to answer different key questions, like, for example, what are the currently identified public, private, NGO organizations that are part of the local ecosystem. So what specific services or resources these organizations contribute for the ecosystem as a whole, and to what development phases those are aimed for. So also respond questions like, what are the metrics currently used for measuring these services and ecosystems as a whole? And what are the metrics showing? Or what are the currently identified bottlenecks and problem areas? Or what are the most used services? Or how much resources are currently used for ecosystem services at different startup stages? And what is the output? Or how much is directly or indirectly invested to innovation and startups at different stages? How are the different organizations and services related to one another in terms of supporting startups? Or how similar services organizations are performing against each other? Or, for example, what budget and resources should the ecosystem allocate for next years and for the future? So therefore, in general, we can say that that ecosystem mapping is the beginning of data collection, and at the same time, it is also one of the top level step of ecosystem development, together with identify and fix gaps and bottlenecks, or implement measurements and iteratively improve, measure and learn. And I have to say here that based on our experience working with many ecosystems around the world, so we can say that usually the mapping exercise is the beginning and the end of everything. So it seems like it's very important and critical for ecosystem actors to get a sense about what's happening at ecosystem level. They are able to also identify like a good set of next steps, and sometimes they are also able to prioritize those steps. But it's really hard for them to basically to start implementing them, and the hardest part is basically to have this systematic approach of collect more information, trying to measure what's happening, improving and learn. So this is quite hard, and in reality it's quite hard to implement for different reasons. So then once again, we will use the startup development phases that we saw yesterday as a canvas to describe the ecosystem, to map out the ecosystem, and to really build and develop ecosystem level common language to basically label any ecosystem item, like startups or services or events or funding instruments or whatever. So then to basically to map the current services. So basically we have the startup development phases blancas, or a canvas, or blank canvas, and where in one hand, basically on the top side, we have the dimension around how to build, how to convert the business idea into a business, or building services and products and business. And then on the bottom side, sorry, we have the team side. So the services contributing towards building team skills, commitment, organization, values, culture, etc. And where the key point here is to basically to have a complete picture of the both sides, and basically helping to identify services that contribute to develop the startup in a balanced manner, taking into account their product side and also taking into account the team side. And then basically to start through, for example, a workshop session format where you can invite the different ecosystem actors that are operating in your location to basically to put their own services and organizations from the lens of the startup development phases, and basically helping them to get more understanding about how the whole framework works, and also forcing them somehow to basically to define more specifically what they do and to whom. And by doing this, to really basically bring you more clarity about the purpose of the different available services in the ecosystem. And we would have services for idea creation, idea validation, for product creation, product validation, and in general, focusing on support ideation to create new potential innovations in technology, business model, processes, etc., and to develop this to actual growing businesses. And the same applies for the bottom side to support the team formation and further development for actual effective organization. Then if we put on the same startup development phases canvas, the cornerstones organizations in the ecosystem. So then we have the higher education, producing research, producing ideas and talents. And then on the other hand, we have the corporations attracting validated businesses and innovations that are relevant for their own purposes, and also attracting entrepreneurial talents. And then on the bottom, we have, of course, the funding organizations providing instruments for the different phases of the startup journey. And we also have the government that is always there from the born of the company till the death. And in between, we have the different startup ingredients interacting each other, like a startup at the different phases. We have people with different roles and profiles and supporting organizations to help move startups forward. So if we want to have like a general approach of the different services, we can have something like this. So we can have this type of classification where in the early phases we have more open services with no time fixed format, focusing mainly on sharing and transferring basic learning from the startup world to bring more inspiration and in general to enable exploration, to basically to coming from many angles, from research, from market demands, from anything. Then we also have acceleration style type of services, basically focusing on execution, and also we have services focusing on showcase best startups for investment and inspiration, with a special focus on scaling those startups. Then we have different type of services, like this one that more specifically that you can see for each of the different phases of the framework, that can be applied to basically to help create products from business idea to business, or services more focused on the team creation side. And really, when you do this exercise, take into account all these concepts, so then to have like a really a more visual way to understand what's happening in your ecosystem. So the type of services that you can find for each of the different stages, supporting startups along the way, for business idea creation or for team formation. You can start looking at type of overlappings that there are in the ecosystem. You can start looking at gaps that you can find in the ecosystem. So basically, very quickly to get a sense of what's happening in reality and how to move forward to the next level. And really start collecting before or beyond identifying these services and these organizations supporting startups, to also get more details about each of those services, like who is the owner and the name of the service, and some basic description of the services, how those services are connected with others, entry criteria, which is the target customer and users, which is the exit criteria, some KPIs related to that service, what is the budget available to deploy and deliver that service. So many relevant information that when is collected from each of the different organizations in the ecosystem, and when it is collected in a standardized way, it gives like a better understanding about the things happening in your ecosystem. And using service templates like this one that we created, basically to, as we said, to start collecting information in a standardized way from the different available services in your ecosystem, and really looking at KPIs from two dimensions, from the startup perspective and also from the service perspective itself. And also when adding the time dimension, to just give a sense about the ability of those services. So is the service available monthly, weekly, per year, and just to basically to help communicate easier to any ecosystem user that availability of those services. And related to mapping, and again, I'm sharing here with all of you a couple of business cases to really help you understand and add more clarity around how different ecosystems are mapping their ecosystem by making use of startup development phases and tools and knowledge in general. So the first case comes from Estonia, when we worked with them in, I think it was in 2014. Startup Estonia was created basically to develop the startup ecosystem in Estonia and to define specific and ambitious objectives, actually for this year, for 2020. And the development started by mapping the current ecosystem providers using the startup commons startup phases as a canvas to also help unify communication framework and terminology, and to help build common understanding from what is being developed and how, to basically put everyone on the same page, talking the same language around a startup. But also to effectively communicate and help anyone navigating within the Estonian ecosystem, and really helping startups, entrepreneurs, and other business creators find the right services and organizations at the right time based on the startup development phase. So this is this is a screenshot of Startup Estonia website, where basically they use our startup development framework basically to start connecting for each different phase the different available services and organizations that can help your idea or your company to move forward toward the next phase and really helping more efficiency towards connecting with later stages. And also with target to also start developing a national database of startups within the Estonian ecosystem to start identifying and tracking them as the ultimate and high-level measure to really understand what the ecosystem is producing, and really collecting key information from the various parts, services, and activities within the ecosystem towards connecting them with high-level indicators like investment rise, or, for example, how the startups got those investments, and in general to start implementing the metrics and start with the first development activities towards the initial target of developing a more balanced startup ecosystem with basic metrics and common communication framework in place. And once having achieved that, to basically to further accelerate the iterative ongoing ecosystem development in a balanced manner to further improve on overall volume. So what did Estonia get at the end of that process with a startup commons? So basically ecosystem players basically talking the same language when it comes to Estonia startup ecosystem development. So they also got a common framework for ecosystem players, so common language. Of course, they were able to put in place the basic metrics as basically as the target to, if you are not able to measure your ecosystem, it's impossible to improve it. And then initiating a manual data collecting process to understand why is needed to be collected, what and how. And really, one of the key things that being a small country like Estonia has some pros and cons, but one of the advantages is that because most of the startup activity happens in Tallinn, in the capital. So basically, they were able to work together in a very systematic way to collect that information and basically to commit to this iterative cycle of improving, measuring, and learning very, very quickly. So then the other case comes from Macedonia, where basically we strengthened the capabilities of a startup Macedonia organization towards assisting them in designing a questionnaire to collect all relevant data for Macedonia startup ecosystem research that Startup Macedonia organization had to make specifically around historical data coming from the different organizations and actors, around actual data in terms of getting a sense of the current challenges that they are facing. So what's the current opinion of the startup scene there, or how are they pivoting from the original idea and why, and also some research about future plans like expectations for change and activities they are trying to implement related to how to make the ecosystem more sustainable and so forth. And then another key part of that relationship was to transfer our expertise in ecosystem building to help in improving the methodology, the tools, the techniques, and criteria for mapping the ecosystem in a matter of making effective matching and showcasing the pools of Macedonian startup ecosystem on real time by helping startups get the right services and connections at the right time, and also help public and private sector decision makers and service providers tailor their services to the specific needs of the startups and other ecosystem actors, and also design a set of metrics that can give Startup Macedonia objective information to modify, adjust, or refine the current action plan and accelerate things. So, so this is the map of the Macedonian ecosystem based on what stages of development their organizations are focusing on. And as you can see, instantly, it's quite easy to see that the main issue lies in organizations focusing on early education, while also investors are interested in startups with traction, but really creating a big gap in the product market fit stage. They also went through the visualization of the different programs, events, and financial support, and really by doing this exercise, they got to understand with this visualization why the Macedonian ecosystem is in its early stages. As we can see, most of the support organizations have focused their resources on early entrepreneurial education and creation of demo or prototype products from ideas. And now they can also identify the large gap that exists in the ecosystem, which is the lack of company building support in the product market fit phase. And therefore, as you can see, there is a big gap or fracture in the ecosystem in the validation phase that is as much an opportunity for also all organizations, as it is a critical gap that needs to be occupied by services that can connect products or services with investors. So it's also a really great tool to communicate, hey, this is what we are missing in the Macedonian startup ecosystem. There are many ecosystem actors focusing on the early phases, so why not some of them can, with the right expertise, put more focus on this validation phase to basically to increase the conversion phase rate from those coming from earlier phases towards validation phase and connected with investors, for example. And really, that was one of the big discovery by mapping Macedonian startup ecosystem, was to find out that the lack of services and activities on the team to organization side, as well as for co-founder team formation and commitment building, which is a critical on the beginning part, forming startups of the ecosystem from startup development phases -2 to 0 range. With focus on how to improve the quality and volume of committed funding teams with aligned vision and high potential innovation. And really understanding that more and better effort was needed at ecosystem level towards building committed funding team by basically bringing and developing specific services and activities, basically to create entrepreneurial core co-founding team of 2-3 people, or to bring more balance ownership and responsibilities within the team, and how to balance skills or how to bring this type of can-do attitude and confirm everything with shareholder agreement document for commitments in the future. And also, basically, on the business side, pursuing the high potential business opportunity for basically to identify high demands coming from the markets, or identify clear market timing, etc. So when we also talk about ecosystem analysis, it is also very important to spend some time understanding the measurements that are needed to measure any ecosystem performance, as only the things that can be measured can be improved. And when we look at what we want to measure, we look at the startup ingredients, and we have startups and startup processes, as well as startup ecosystems and activities can all be identified, mapped, measured, and improved. And so to measure the ultimately output of an ecosystem is, of course, a measurement of how effectively startups emerge, develop, and grow successfully out of the ecosystem. So therefore, measuring the progress of startups is key, as well as measuring each of the support processes contributing for the development of the startup are key too. And if we think about generally data and metrics in ecosystem, we have many services and service paths. We find bottlenecks, remove overlaps to develop imbalance. We have input and output volumes of each service to measure, analyze, and iterate to improve services and to improve overall efficiency, learn from others and compare and benchmark from others, and really to understand that any software we use just as a tool, data is the source of value from the interactions we document in the system, from the interactions that the software does through people using the software. So let's look at the KPIs a bit closer. So what do we need to measure? So basically, we need to measure startup progress and contributing factors, meaning how startups come together and what are the different actors that contribute to that progress. We also need to measure service intake, output efficiency, and feedback. So identifying and mapping the available ecosystem services and organizations, looking at how those services are being consumed, what is the service output, how they are performing, their efficiencies, etc. And also we need to measure outcome of the ecosystem development actions. So these are ecosystem development initiatives with a specific criteria to improve specific development phases or gaps that were identified at ecosystem level, and to be also benchmarked locally, nationally, and internationally. So let's look at measuring the startup progress. We can look at the whole ecosystem as a funnel through the lens of the different support services that are there, and we can map it on top of the development phases. So in each of the development phases, we can look at the input of companies arriving or talents arriving to the development phase, and the output of companies or talents coming from that development phase. So applicants, or how many applicants, what type of applicants, how many graduates, entry of source, so meaning where they come from, or how many drop off between phases, and total numbers. So this type of criteria we can have in every development phase, and with this funnel measuring, we can also identify how much is missing between development phases, how many comes from outside, from, for example, other ecosystems. So how many you are able to capture from the different development phases, etc. And all this information can be captured from the different support services, but only if those services are connected to a shared infrastructure that is able to capture both individual and service data in a logical and consistent way. And depending on how granular and detailed information is that can be collected, information can also be aggregated into higher and higher level, and ultimately at ecosystem level. So really finding levels and different type of visualization for different needs and serving different purposes. So from the session we did yesterday, when breaking down the startup development phases, we saw that we have 3 key areas from an ecosystem perspective to really understand what we are producing and how we can support startups along the way. And if we look at the formation phase, so this is the output of the formation phase. So a startup is born when IPRs and founding entrepreneurial talent members commit to contribute to build value and confirm this value to be captured to a company with founder shareholder agreement. So therefore, from formation support function, you can collect assets and sources for assets, other functions like promote and market the functions, promote pre-shareholder model, and track marketing effectiveness via web traffic and KPI. So this is the other type of functions that we can find in this phase. And attached to that, we have a big set of different KPIs related to the formation services. We can have a number of assets, resources and tools in pool library. We can have KPIs around number of sources of talent or the quality of the sources and the channels. We can have more metrics around number of challenge or problem definitions to work on, number of events organized, number of potential ideas, quality of ideas formed, more metrics around number of ideas and or teams moving forward, number of participants, total number of new participants in different services, total number of unique participants, metrics or KPIs around velocity, so time from new challenge to quality ideas, so how fast they are moving from being a challenge to basically be a candidate to develop, and so forth. And also KPIs related to the startup idea, so quality of ideas from or volume of co-founder reach or volume of co-founder discussions. And also on the team commitment side, we have also specific KPIs attached to the formation of the team formation services. We have volume of number of potential teams that enter into commitment validation, or sources of teams or number of committed teams, the quality of teams, the quality of the shareholder agreements, quality of legal support by partner, and so forth. And then again, KPIs related to the startup team, so like number of meetings needed, or number of team member restructuring needed, and number of shareholder draft version iterations. So really capturing key information that can bring more understanding about how to basically increase the conversion rate from those with an idea into converting them into the beginning of initiating a startup. So then from the validation phase, again, that is connected with the formation phase, and the criteria to fulfill prior applying validation phase support is to have signed and verified shareholder agreement, and also ideation and value propositions and assumptions in place. And basically the validation phase focus on educating importance of validation, provide tools, workshops, and knowledge about methods of MVP building and validation, together with support functions for channels, customers, audience to validate, with user groups, with company contacts through testing events, showrooms, piloting projects, etc. And really focusing on supporting processes of validation process. So test, run, data collected, learnings, iterations, pivots, until target validation level achieved for scaling. And here again, we have different KPIs attached to the validation services. So we have number of teams entering into validation phase, or the volume or quality of the sources of teams, again, where they came from and how they heard about this. Quality of teams, quality of shareholder agreement, quality of potential innovation with a special focus on the problem solution fit, or market potential or market timing, quality of partners, trainers, quality of service functions, velocity, time from entry to validation, etc. And also KPIs related to the startup validation. So number of assumptions to validate, or the quality of methods to validate those assumptions, and number of actions validating assumptions, the quality of the results of the validations, so how they documented those validations, what they learned, quality of happy customers, quality of paying customers or users, sold projects, etc. Quality of pitch. And then on the growth phase, growth is about scaling, multiplying all required things that are validated to work in most efficient manner, while having clear methods in place to actively measure and validate the scaling processes and overall progress. And here again, we have KPIs attached to the different services, like number of interactions between startups, scaling, with investors, with companies, or how was the quality of matching of results from those introductions, or what is the quality of the advisory services for those startups scaling, and things like that. And then again, we have a lot of KPIs that can be attached to the startup itself, like quality of the go-to-market strategy, or the volume of inbound traffic growth, or quality of inbound traffic growth, and so forth, and even more like quality and value of customers, and quality of business plans, quality of recruiting and onboarding, and so forth. And then we also have KPIs related to ecosystem measurements, so to really measure the outcome of ecosystem development actions and identifying cross-cutting topics and dependencies between development actions, impact measure, data, KPIs, and terminology. So therefore, attaching KPIs to a framework, so correlations, dependencies, and connections can be understood, and ultimately understand what lower level KPIs contribute to higher level KPIs, and what KPIs also indicate outcomes in some peers KPIs. So when we look at the key actors of the startup ecosystem, we can say that we have 4 top-level segments. So we have, in a broader scale, we have the economic development, we have the service organizations, and then we have the startup companies in the different phases, and individuals like talents, entrepreneurs, a startup team, angel investors, etc. And when we look at the development focus area, we have items to improve, so things we want to improve, like we want to improve innovation in the ecosystem, so we want to improve talent in the ecosystem, we have to improve entrepreneurship culture, or we want to improve the supporting services or the money flowing in the ecosystem, or growth, or we want to improve market, whatever. And then we have values to improve, like volume, quality, and velocity, and a return of investment. So basically, velocity is about how things happen so fast. So then when we look at the vertical ecosystems and the horizontal ecosystem elements, when we look at the horizontal elements, then we have a KPI framework that really helps to capture all the key items categories to be improved, as well as the values types to be measured and improved in such way that the correlations between items and specifically the side effects can be identified from the index result. And with this type of model, we can collect enough of these resources of the ecosystem services with a consistent logic. We can get an index perspective that helps to visualize and understand, but also limit the key areas to focus on for each of the objectives being created, or to reevaluating or adjust objects or activities or budgets already in place in such way that the overall view for what is being improved never gets lost. And of course, we can also break this down, and therefore this framework can be also used both in each of the 3 key focus areas, so formation, validation, and growth. So therefore, from the perspective of measuring development, services, and activities, impact KPIs, I would say, are the most relevant category of data, and therefore collecting that type of data becomes key towards ecosystem mapping, analysis, and orchestration, and really being the target to reduce uncertainty at ecosystem level for all the ecosystem actors that are involved in supporting startups through the different phases. Starting with ecosystem mapping to really understand the relationship between the different actors, towards understanding the patterns at ecosystem level, and with final target of orchestration, where there's enough understanding around the principles that operates the ecosystem. and also bringing the digital dimension to really automate and bring more efficiency at all levels, and making data flows like this for the benefit of everyone within the ecosystem, and really having an ecosystem user experience like this, as we talked yesterday, where finding any ecosystem item should be as easier as possible and really as effective as possible by taking into account where you are presently in, your track records, your interactions, your current needs, etc. So therefore, it's I would say it's a high priority for any ecosystem to work towards developing an open standard framework to effectively enable the ability of diverse systems, organizations, and cities to work together to componentize and to plug together ecosystem components and eventually enhancing real collaborations and building connected ecosystems and really building a holistic distributed data infrastructure that would standardize information and data coming from multiple sources that also allow different platforms, applications, and information systems in general to talk to each other, to make data flow and allow effortless access to that data, and in general to allow interoperability between ecosystems. And really building an architecture like this, as we explained yesterday, a data sharing infrastructure formed by data assets and distributed across multiple and different sources, the organizations that operate and maintain them, and the processes, the policies and guides that describe how to use and manage the data. It can be seen again as an ecosystem of technology, processes, and actors or organizations needed for the collection, storage, maintenance, distribution, and use or reuse of data by the different end users within the ecosystem. So what are we creating at the end of the day with this digital approach and holistic thinking? So from a visual point of view, we can say that we can confirm that ecosystems nowadays in general behave like a traditional organization. So really all the ecosystem actors working in silos, being quite slow to adapt to new changes and really with poor understanding about how to take advantage of digital technology and data to bring more efficiency to the innovation process, to startup building process. And where with this approach we have mentioned earlier, the final target is basically to build an ecosystem that behaves as a digital-driven organization and embedding digital DNA at the core of the governance and operations, with really true commitment to ongoing innovation. And really enabling and managing connections for key actors and between stakeholders, and to basically to compile information on startups across different channels, interactions, and points of contact between the startup support organizations and stakeholders along the way. And eventually have a better way to observe the reality, to observe how your ecosystem is performing, how your ecosystem is behaving, trying to anticipate and predict, and eventually shape the future and take your ecosystem to the next level. So luckily, this is not science fiction. We have already started this long-term journey of ecosystem digitalization, and we also really want to invite to the whole Tunisia ecosystem to join this movement that we are initiating with other ecosystems from all over the world. So very recently, we have designed a first privately led global collaborative ecosystem development project that is part of a bigger and longer journey towards ecosystem digitalization, but trying to start as simple as possible by collaboratively developing and deploying an ecosystem mapping application as a shared project after proper validation for many years with many ecosystems builders and related actors from all around the world who basically see in this ecosystem mapping application one of the key modules to improve ecosystem performance, and where basically the core idea of this collaborative project is that we at the Startup Commons have planned and calculated the direct and the realistic cost of developing this project. And then the more ecosystems will join, the cheaper it will get per each ecosystem, while at the same time, all participating ecosystems get the full outcomes and benefit from collaborative learning, while also being able to adjust and localize key aspects from local perspective as needed. So with this innovative approach, we really want to initiate a transition from a manual mapping exercise with workshops type of approach, with this type of post-it notes that we have done in the past many times, to support service canvas mapping with the templates that we mentioned earlier, and to finally make it through ecosystem mapping application to basically to bring more automation and effectiveness. So basically, just using a startup development phases as the canvas to basically where to start doing this mapping exercise, and where to start identifying the available services and organizations that are supporting startups in their different phases, and of course taking into account the business side on top and the organization side at the bottom, and start through that application to start making an inventory of your own ecosystem by starting and collecting basic information coming from the different available services in your ecosystem, like the service name or the service owner organization, and so forth. And also going a bit deeper and capturing in a standardized way more detailed information related to the service, to really start documenting services in a standardized way, to basically to get more understanding about what's the purpose of those services, how many times is available per year, and so forth. So also adding the dimension side. And really make use of global best practices by using service templates that basically provide you with the ability to reconfigure new services and very quickly make changes for local adjustments. And then after setting up a service template, you can use that service to add new services to your ecosystem and modify any parameters that you need to basically fit in the reality that you have in your local context. And really have like a holistic view through that application to basically to see what's happening at ecosystem level, the different organizations, the different available services, and also to start getting a sense about how balanced is your ecosystem when it comes to existing offerings to support startups, and also to start identifying gaps and bottlenecks in your ecosystem. And because that can be quite crowded, also to add filtering options or functionalities to basically to get a more clear view about any service that you want to find. Like, for example, if you want to filter per phase, or you want to get a sense about which are the available online services that you have now in your ecosystem, or you want to have a sense of which of those services are delivered presentially, or which are the status of those services. So are they already being executed, or they are not published yet, and so forth. So giving more tools and more options in general to help navigate in this complexity of the ecosystem, and essentially bring more clarity. So yeah, so we have reached to the end of the presentation for today. Hopefully you have got like a good understanding about how to analyze an ecosystem. Of course, there are many other things on top of that, but we really wanted to give like a clear view about which are the key methods, the key processes, the key tools to start bringing more clarity about your ecosystem and take action on that. So now I'm open for questions, so let's make it.
Thank you so much, Oscar, for everything you shared. Matthias, thank you too. Really appreciate it. I personally enjoyed the content. I think it's different perspectives on seeing how we really can analyze an ecosystem, right? We have ideas on what are the main KPIs, but then you have your perspective opened in that sense. So please, guys, go ahead. You can send on the chat the Q&A. So for a reason, there are some questions that show on the chat, others that don't. So I made sure to save everything here. And we can start with our first question, Oscar. So the first question is, so it's a person saying, I'm part of a startup incubator. How often should I analyze the results of our activities?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that really varies on how long does it take your services. So basically, when working with different ecosystems around the world, well, we have seen that some incubator programs, for example, takes 3 years, which is a lot, and sometimes we have seen that those incubation programs take like some few months. So depending on the duration of your services, so that should be like a good time frame for you to measure the impact of your activities.
Awesome. All right. So the next question is how to measure the quality of shareholder agreements.
Yeah, that's good. So basically, here it's also very important to do this properly with legal experts. So those that are basically are used to create this type of documents, specifically in the context of entrepreneurship and innovation, and basically with more experience that they have, the better for basically to measure the quality of that document, because then they are able to identify if they see something that is not clear and it maybe can be a potential issue in the future. So then basically it helps to clarify and add more details on those, I would say, gaps. So a good way to basically to measure the quality is to involve this type of legal experts as part of that process, and basically, for example, if there's not too many modifications to make to that initial document, that can be as a good indicator to measure the quality if the legal expert has a huge experience working in that context.
All right, sounds clear. So next question is how to transfer knowledge to wisdom according to the charts you shared.
Well, it's so there's no a magic recipe, and we don't have all the response to that. But basically, it's that process to how to collect or how to convert the information and data that you are already storing in your systems, and how to that can be shareable collectively with other actors, and how to start convert that into clear patterns that you can see. So having like a more clear picture, like, okay, if a startup follows this track in your ecosystem, so if they consume service A, service B, service C, so then you get most likely you get the sense of that this startup will be successful. So that becomes the wisdom. So it's more about initiating the process of collectively collect data and put that data works towards understanding what's happening and really understanding why things are happening.
All right, thank you, Oscar. So there is Heji Ibtisam saying, thanks for your relevant presentation and explanation. Could you please share the link of the EC? I'm not sure if you understood what's the EC, because I didn't.
EC?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we will share the presentation for sure, and of course, you can also make our emails available for anyone that wants to reach out individually, and maybe we can have like separate calls or conversations where they can basically bring more explanation around those concepts.
Amazing, but Ibtisam is really persevering here and giving more details. She's saying of ecosystem map tools, because we work on the traceability following of the flow of waste generated from many sources. So we want to analyze and so I think it's about the link for ecosystem mapping tools in a way.
All right. Yeah. So we will provide all of those resources. So maybe Matthias also can share that on the chat. I mean, in general, what we are delivering today and yesterday is a small part of what we have in our Ecosystem Development Academy, which is fully free for everyone, and basically they can register and start consuming all this knowledge that we have. And at the same time, we will circulate that ecosystem mapping tool project that we have. So basically to know more about it.
All right. So okay. So Ibtisam, we will make sure to send on this chat in few the links you're asking for. All right. So next question: is there a free tool to use for ecosystem mapping? So it's again, I think the same question, right?
Yes. So we have seen many tools, and you can use anything that you find relevant for that. Like for example, we have seen a wall full of post-it notes, so where they map the ecosystem. We have seen spreadsheets like for example in Calgary, and actually they are looking at how to take that spreadsheet to the next level. We have seen Airtable tool to map the ecosystem. We have seen Trello. We have seen many different approaches, but the key here, regardless of the tool that you use, because the tool is just the mean to collect that information and that data, is also this holistic thinking and approach about how to collect information in a standardized way. So it has to be a collaborative effort coming from different actors, because it's also important that it's for the benefit of every actor. So the more accurate, the more detailed, the more standardized the information is for that mapping exercise, the better for everyone.
Amazing. All right. So we have Fedis William saying, hi, Sumaya, hi, everybody. Thanks for the content, quite rich. My question is, what would be good arguments for selling a regional ecosystem to investors and funding structures? Ecosystem in regions are mostly less mature than the one in the capital. What would be their competitive advantage?
What can you repeat? Because I didn't get it.
Sure. Yeah, sure. So the question is, what would be good arguments for selling a regional ecosystem to investors and funding structures?
All right.
And he's explaining how, the ecosystem in regions are mostly less mature than the would be their competitive advantage, right?
Well, I mean that most likely there will be more than one reason for that, but if you look at how for example investors behave and how they are looking for opportunities for them to invest, so it's quite easy to find this type of startup events, for example, or big events where they try to match startups with investors, and when they get to know to each other in a meeting, so then they realize that they are not fitting at all. So the mapping exercise basically helps them to bring more effective matchmaking case for them. So really trying to understand that if they get access to a pool of startups in your ecosystem, most likely all those startups will fit their objectives and needs.
All right. Thank you for sharing that. So I want to dig deeper into this question, actually, because it's also really one of the challenges of the accelerators and incubators in Tunisia. So most of them really are centralized in the capital. And what you just shared makes perfectly sense on how they can, let's say, have more chance on their sides to shine. But when he mentioned like the competitive advantage, right? Can we think of a competitive advantage of a startup support organization just because they're not in the capital? Can they like make out of it a competitive advantage according to other ecosystems you saw, etc.?
Yeah, of course. So again, of course, the big companies, the biggest startups can happen anywhere, and sometimes they even don't need the support of any specific service. So, but that is quite rare, I would say. And then of course that's why it's quite relevant to have like a proper infrastructure supporting the startups. And the more knowledgeable and the more experience they have, the better for the startups. So in that sense, when we look at different ecosystems around the world with different maturity level, one big opportunity for those that are less mature is basically to implement methods to digitally connect with those ecosystems that are more mature, because it's impossible to wait the whole cycle, for example, to get like a really experienced pool of mentors supporting startups, or to really have like the right attitude at ecosystem level to invest in the local startups and things like that. So by connecting with more mature ecosystems, you are able to accelerate the development, and that can become a competitive advantage.
All right. Thanks again, Oscar. So we'll take a couple of questions actually in order to make sure we're also, are respecting the time on our side. So the next one is, what are the top 3 KPIs we should focus on in the formation step? I believe it's the slide of formation and.
Yeah. So again, that really depends on the service that you want to implement. But one important. So if we try to simplify the model, for example, if we see a model like we have a startup weekend events, and then after that they can move towards incubation phase, for example. So a good way to measure would be like a number of people joining the startup weekend event that wants to basically continue towards initiating the company. So that gives a sense of conversion. And then, of course, one key KPI is how many of those that are entering into, for example, in that incubation phase, are really committed towards executing and validating the product into the market.
Yep, sounds clear. The next question is actually also about KPIs. So Mahdi is saying, how can we identify the best KPIs for our specific services?
I don't know their services.
So
it's an acceleration program, it's an incubation program.
What's your service, Mahdi? Send us on the chat, please.
But anyway, the most important thing, and I think that can be applied to any organization or to any service, is to basically define what's your purpose, which are the entry criteria for any startup or for any entrepreneur, and which is the exit criteria. And then have like a thoughtful exercise where you can look at how to connect both, and what do you need to measure to basically to reach those objectives.
Yep. All right. If he answers by the next question, I will let you know. Otherwise, it makes sense. Okay. So my last question for you, Oscar, is: do you have any advice for an accelerator or incubator that want to go global, from Tunisia to the region or to internationally? Pretty, right? Straightforward questions today, right?
Yeah. It's good. It's good. That basically means that we have done something today. One tip to basically to make an acceleration program global. So I think that the best way to become global is also being sure that, first of all, the candidates that are applying to that acceleration program have like high ambition, basically to develop something big with a real big market demand and very scalable. And also another angle to become more global is to involve as part of that process. So other ecosystem actors or other organizations coming from different parts of the world that already went there, so that already helped to develop that acceleration program, or that really helped to support the startups in that phase in different ways, like, for example, by providing mentoring or training or whatever is needed to basically to help accelerate the startups.
Yep. And I would add, for the person that asked the question, you can write #mentorship and jump on a call with Oscar as a first, connection on a international level. And it really starts step by step, simple steps, knowing people, getting inspired, getting the right connection in that sense. So totally agree with what you said, Oscar. So Mahdi actually got back to us and to specify and he said, we offer support for startup training, coaching, and mentoring.
So that was the one.
Yeah. So his question was
the KPIs.
Yeah. How can we identify the best KPIs for our services and their supporting startups, training, coaching, mentoring in a way?
Yeah. So basically, if we look from service perspective, they should be able to measure, of course, the quality of the coaching sessions. So how the coaches are performing. So really to get feedback from those entrepreneurs and startups that are receiving the coaching services in a very objective way, and also trying to capture how that that coaching services are impacting on the development of the business idea, for example. Those two are really keys, because when doing this type of exercise, because we want to really to push them to do something, right? So it's important that after delivering this type of training and coaching sessions, there is a call to actions and next steps, and really a doer attitude, and it's really key to measure that, because if there's no actions, there's no startup.
Definitely, yes, 100%. So we're about to end, our time for the session. So I'm just double checking one last time on the platforms to make sure we covered all the questions mentioned. In the meantime, I want to remind our audience today that if they're interested on jumping on a call with Oscar, please write hashtag mentorship. We already the names that already sent that. Other than that, we also care about your feedback, guys, in order to make sure to communicate them to our speakers, and also take them into consideration for the next sessions. So on the platform, there is a place called activity next to overview. You click on it and you will be accessing actually a feedback folder. It's one question, very fast. And we really will be appreciative of receiving your feedback in that sense. So Oscar, I checked the platforms. I think good. We covered all the questions for today.
Yes, that's good.
Amazing.
I'm really happy.
I mean, we're on time, and we covered all the questions. We counted ahead of time. Anyways, so anything else you want to share, guys, before ending the session? Matthias, Oscar.
Maybe Matthias, you want to add something from your side?
Yes, Matthias, you're in the background, making the magic happen, but we don't hear from you a lot.
Yeah. I'm just here, just checking everything goes smoothly. But yes, everything has been great today, and just wanted to maybe say that or add for Oscar's presentation that I shared a couple links to the chat boxes in YouTube and in Facebook, and also in the platform that about our ecosystem development academy, which Oscar already mentioned. So it's completely free. It's our we offer it free because due to the COVID outbreak, it was our asset before, but now we offer it free to everybody who wants to join. And it includes over 12 hours more material, 550 slides. If you want to take a deeper dive to this topic, so it's good place to start. And also also this digital approach to the mapping application presentation, which Oscar also mentioned at the end. I shared that link to everybody who wants to check it, and maybe add comments, questions, everything. You can check the presentation and then can come back to us also. So that is also coming relatively soon, maybe early next year. So that's all. Thanks.
Amazing. Thanks a lot, Matthias, for saying that. So just to clarify for the audience, so you guys work with governments, only governments, or locals, or do you also work with startup support organizations to help them be part of building or developing a system? How do you approach? How is your relationship when it comes to that?
Yeah. So and that really varies on how each ecosystem is structured. So as you know, sometimes it's the public sector who is taking the lead. Sometimes it's more the private sector or public-private partnership type of entity. So we really try to engage with this type of organizations, both locally or regionally or nationally, that has the mandate to develop the ecosystem and have like a holistic picture about what's happening, to basically to propose and fill in the gaps that they are missing. And also with those ecosystems that are less mature, where there is also big support for development financiers. So we usually engage with them, like for example, in the case of the Macedonian case that we talked in the presentation, we work together with Swiss Contact, which I know it's one of your speakers as well. Actually, we have really good.
They will be joining tomorrow. Actually, yeah.
We have really good collaboration and good relationship actually with Benjamin and
yes, he will be with Charlotte tomorrow, joining us. Yeah.
And actually, they are also developing a really good, I would say, a piece that can be potentially part of the ecosystem mapping that we are developing. So to bring more clarity around, from a visual perspective, how the different connections and relationships happen at the ecosystem level. So they are developing a social network tool for that. And yeah, so we usually work with this type of organizations like Swiss Contact or USAID or World Banks and things like that, that are flowing a lot of money in those ecosystems to basically to help them emerge and become more relevant and put the right things in place.
Amazing. My last question. I know I was saying last question for the previous 10
last
minutes,
10 minutes,
but this one is the last because we're running out of time. Did you work before with any country in Africa, North Africa, or like the whole Africa?
We did some years ago, a pilot in Kenya. Basically, when we started our digital approach or our digital architecture with the version 1, like this big monolithic application, and we were working with Kenya to basically to test that, and very recently we have a couple of cases that we can't officially say. It's quite close to close
Tunisia.
Let's see. Hopefully, we will work together. But we beyond Tunisia, we have a couple of cases that hopefully we will move forward with them, and we will be in a better position to communicate more about this in the coming weeks or months.
Amazing. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciated my time. We'll keep you posted about the mentorship opportunities. So we will be connecting you guys with two from the people that showed interest. Again, we're thrilled to have you connecting to our ecosystem and hope to see you very soon.
Thanks a lot. It was our pleasure.
Amazing.
It was a pleasure.
Enjoy the rest of the week.
Yeah, guys, we will be jumping on a call on friends actually of Startup Commons. They are Swiss Contact. They're doing a lot also when it comes to empowering ecosystems. So tomorrow, same time, 12 p.m. Local time here in Tunisia, to explore another subject complementing the ones that we covered today. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.